The school beauty, Lin Shiyu, was adored by everyone at school and was also my childhood friend. She fell for the school bully, and her grades plummeted. I told her parents about it, breaking the two of them up. After college graduation, she married me. Within a few years, I contracted a terminal illness. As my consciousness faded, Lin Shiyu whispered in my ear, "If it weren't for you, I wouldn't have lost my Zhang Wei. I've hated you every single day and night." Opening my eyes again, I was reborn back to the time before Lin Shiyu fell for the school bully. This time, I chose to push things along to help them get together. But I didn't know that Lin Shiyu had also been reborn, and in the previous life, she had told me a white lie. Yi Fan Zhang Wei confessed his feelings to me. Do you think I should say yes? I was dozing off deeply on my desk when someone pushed me awake. Seeing the young and beautiful Lin Shiyu before me, I jumped in shock. Who am I? Where am I? I looked at myself in astonishment, then at the familiar yet strange classroom before me. Looking back at Lin Shiyu, could it be? Have I been reborn? Yi Fan, what's wrong with you? Lin Shiyu looked at me with surprise and asked, "Why are you acting so strange today? Hold on, don't say anything yet." I pinched myself hard, confirming I was alive and not dreaming. Looking at Lin Shiyu again, I suddenly felt very conflicted. In my past life, the school bully, Zhang Wei, confessed to Lin Shiyu and she agreed. From then on, her grades plummeted. Unable to bear watching her go downhill, I chose to tell her parents and they were ultimately broken up. After college graduation, Lin Shiyu married me. However, I developed a terminal illness when I was only 30, as my consciousness faded. Lin Shiyu said in my ear, "If it were for you, I wouldn't have lost my Zhang Wei. Even though I married you, I've hated you every single day and night." It was hard to imagine that the person sleeping beside me every night hated me constantly. Fine then, I'll let you be together. Thinking this, I looked at Lin Shiyu again and said, "What were you asking me just now?" "Honestly, you." Lin Shiyu blushed slightly, then said in a low voice, "Zhang Wei confessed to me. Do you think I should say yes to him?" "Say yes." Without the slightest hesitation, I nodded. "Definitely say yes. I wholeheartedly approve." "Huh?" Lin Shiyu stared at me, shocked, as if those words should never have come from my mouth. "Don't hesitate. You should boldly pursue your own love, right? If it were me, I'd just nod yes immediately without any hesitation." I told Lin Shiyu the answer with absolute certainty. Lin Shiyu looked even more surprised. "But you? We're just neighbors who happened to be born in the same year and grew up together. That's all. Compared to your love life, I'm nothing." Of course, I knew what Lin Shiyu wanted to say, but I didn't give her any chance. I cut her off. "Just hurry up and say yes to Zhang Wei. You won't find another guy as good as him if you miss this chance. If I were a girl, I'd even actively pursue him. He's really great." "Why do I get the feeling you're being sarcastic?" Lin Shiyu asked doubtfully. "No, absolutely not. I meant every word. If you're not being sarcastic, then you're just brushing me off. I'm done talking to you." Lin Shiyu turned away angrily. She sat in the row in front of me. Looking at her back, I suddenly felt a pang inside. Did I hate her? No. Even knowing everything, I didn't actually hate her. She had been my wife for several years. Although our life together was uneventful and we didn't have children, we were husband and wife after all. How could there have been no feelings between us? Besides, we aren't just husband and wife, we're childhood sweethearts who grew up barefoot together. In fact, not only do I not hate her, I actually feel very guilty toward her. In my previous life, if I hadn't ruined her relationship with Zhang Wei, she wouldn't have held on to that resentment. Besides, if she had really ended up with Zhang Wei, she might well have been happy. Although Zhang Wei is a slacker. Who's to say marrying a slacker means no happiness? The reality is that some slackers have exceptionally high emotional intelligence. Many thrive once they enter society, even becoming big bosses, while bookworms like me end up working for others. Since I've been reborn, I naturally want to live differently. As for Lin Shiyu, I owe her too much in my previous life, and in this life, I want to repay it all. So not only will I not break them up, I'm going to help things along. Soon it was time for school to end. Lin Shiyu and I walked home together. All the way, she looked furious, deliberately ignoring me and even quickening her pace to try to shake me off. Seeing this, I hurried to catch up. Shouldn't you go find Zhang Wei and say yes to him? Yi Fan. Lin Xiyu stopped angrily, staring furiously at me. What on earth do you mean? What I mean is Zhang Wei is really a good guy. You should say yes to him. You'll definitely be happy together, I said with utter sincerity. You're crazy. Lin Xiyu was livid and snapped at me. I looked at Lin Xiyu stunned. This wasn't how things went in the previous life. In the previous life, Lin Xiyu asked for my opinion and my answer was the opposite. I didn't approve of her dating Zhang Wei, analyzed the pros and cons for her, and hoped she would focus on her studies and wait until university to date. But Lin Xiyu didn't listen to me anyway and ended up dating Zhang Wei regardless. But what was happening now? Puzzled, I looked at Lin Xiyu and asked, "Why are you yelling at me? I want you to be with Zhang Wei. This is for your own good. You're talking nonsense." Lin Xiyu got even angrier. The college entrance exams are almost here. Instead of encouraging me to study hard, you're encouraging me to date? You call that looking out for me? That sounds completely unreliable. I was speechless. Shouldn't I be the one saying that? Yeah. But you didn't say it, Lin Xiyu exclaimed. At this, I was utterly speechless and looked at Lin Xiyu again. Do you actually want to be with Zhang Wei or not? No, Lin Xiyu answered bluntly. Are you sure? I asked, unable to believe it. I'm sure, definitely. Positively, Lin Xiyu, growing impatient, gave me an answer completely different from the previous life, then turned and left angrily. I stood there utterly bewildered. What was going on? This wasn't right. Could it be that because I tried too hard to push things along, it had the opposite effect? This wouldn't do. I had to get Lin Xiyu and Zhang Wei together to make up for Lin Xiyu's regret from the previous life. The next day, I waited for Zhang Wei at the school gate. Motorcycles were forbidden at school, but Zhang Wei still rode his to school every day. The sight of him pulling up was indeed cool and charismatic. Seeing this, I could somewhat understand why Lin Xiyu had liked Zhang Wei in the previous life. A free-spirited, unconventional guy like him, compared to the tense atmosphere surrounding the college entrance exams, truly stood out, offering a refreshing sight. Perhaps these qualities held a special appeal for girls. I watched Zhang Wei ride his motorcycle into the school grounds and even overheard a few girls whispering nearby. Wow, that must be Zhang Wei, right? He's so handsome. I heard he's been pursuing Lin Xiyu from class lately. What's so great about Lin Xiyu? She just has a pretty face, that's all. If you ask me, she's nothing special. Exactly. Listening to some girls gossiping, I quickly hurried to the bike shed. Zhang Wei was about meters tall, half a head taller than me, with long glossy black hair, cool and handsome. You're Zhang Wei, right? I stepped forward and asked. A glint flashed in Zhang Wei's eyes. They felt very cold. Who are you? Zhang Wei asked. I'm Lin Xiyu's classmate, I said with a smile. I heard you're pursuing Lin Xiyu and even confessed your feelings to her. What do you mean? Zhang Wei stared at me, saying somewhat angrily, You like her too? You came here to declare war on me, right? A misunderstanding. I didn't come to declare war. I came to help you win Lin Xiyu over, I quickly explained. Hilarious. You and I don't even know each other. Why would you be so kind? Zhang Wei exclaimed dismissively. I think you just have ulterior motives. Absolutely not. I was speechless inside. Being a matchmaker is so hard these days. How come I can't please either side? Then give me a reason, Zhang Wei demanded, staring at me. His gaze felt very intense. I frowned and said, Actually, I'm Lin Xiyu's neighbor. We grew up together. I know a lot of people like her. And she'll date someone eventually. I just hope she finds someone better, and you are that better person. Is that all? Zhang Wei looked at me, smiled confidently, then tossed his flowing long hair, seeming to believe himself that he was the most handsome guy around. That's all. Seeing Zhang Wei's confidence, I felt completely reassured. Then how do you plan to help me? Zhang Wei asked. I immediately took out the guide I had written and handed it to Zhang Wei. This is the Campus Beauty Strategy Guide I put together last night. It details Lin Xiyu's hobbies, favorite animals, favorite foods, favorite drinks, and so on. With this guide, plus how handsome you already are, I think your chances of winning Lin Xiyu over have increased by 300%. Zhang Wei took my strategy guide and looked at it for a moment. His eyes instantly lit up. Good brother. If I successfully win Lin Xiyu over, you'll be my benefactor. Seeing Zhang Wei recognized its value, I was naturally happy to. Remember to treat her well. Don't worry. Brother, Zhang Wei treasured the guide, putting it away like a precious gem. I'll remember this favor. If you run into any trouble in the future, you can come find me. I definitely won't refuse. Okay. Saying goodbye to Zhang Wei, I returned to the classroom. I thought to myself, with this guy, Zhang Wei winning over Lin Xiyu should be a sure thing. Zhang Wei was also quite proactive. By the afternoon, he had someone deliver Lin Xiyu's favorite milk tea and snacks, along with a love letter. I had thought Lin Xiyu would be very happy, but after she read the love letter, she tore it up directly. Not only that, Lin Xiyu, looking displeased, brought the milk tea and the torn letter right over to me. Zhang Wei sent this to you. Why are you giving it to me? I asked. Can I just not like it? Lin Xiyu snapped, looking at me unhappily. But this is clearly your favorite vanilla flavor, I said. So was it you? Lin Xiyu glared at me. I quickly covered my mouth. Crap. I blew it. You told Zhang Wei I like these things, didn't you? Lin Xiyu asked resentfully. No, a misunderstanding. I think Zhang Wei just has a telepathic connection with you. So he took a random guess and knew what you liked. I pretended to be clueless very seriously. Are you trying to fool a 3-year-old? Lin Xiyu asked, her face full of disbelief. How could this be fooling you? I shook my head, saying, I was just guessing. Well, your guess was pretty accurate. Lin Xiyu clearly didn't believe it. I thought for a moment and said, could it be possible that this is all because Zhang Wei likes you so much? To win you over. He put countless efforts into researching your preferences. Thinking about it this way, Zhang Wei is quite devoted. How touching. Give me a break. Lin Xiyu completely ignored my spiel, shot me a glare, and said, I suggest you put those thoughts away and focus on your test papers. The mock exams are coming up soon. If you mess up again this time, your mom will definitely kill you. After saying this, Lin Xiyu ignored me. I was utterly baffled. This didn't match the plot from my previous life at all. What exactly went wrong? I even brought out the strategy guide and it still can't help Zhang Wei win over Lin Xiyu. I spent the whole day wondering. When school let out, Lin Xiyu and I walked home together, passing through the shortcut alley. Just as we entered, we saw Zhang Wei standing there alone, striking a cool pose, a flower plucked from who knows where held in his mouth. Seeing Lin Xiyu approach, Zhang Wei coolly flicked his hair then dropped to one knee. Lin Xiyu, I've liked you for a long time. Before Zhang Wei could finish his confession, Lin Xiyu walked straight past as if she hadn't even seen him. Zhang Wei was dumbfounded. So was I. What should I do? Zhang Wei looked at me undased. You must persevere. She doesn't like people who give up halfway and lack persistence. Keep going. I immediately encouraged him. Thanks. Zhang Wei nodded and chased after Lin Xiyu again. I, on the other hand, stood there watching. Soon, slap, Zhang Wei, who hadn't even managed to say a few words, was slapped by Lin Xiyu. Then Lin Xiyu stormed off angrily, leaving Zhang Wei standing there utterly bewildered. When I approached, Zhang Wei looked furious. Yifan, what the hell is going on? I did exactly what you said. I even consulted your strategy guide. This situation is a bit complicated beyond my expectations, I said. You're not messing with me, are you? Zhang Wei asked, looking displeased. Messing with you? What good would that do me? I retorted. That's true. You really are helping me. Zhang Wei nodded then said, but Lin Xiyu just isn't interested in me. What can I do? Well, I too fell into deep thought. I couldn't understand it at all. In the previous life, Zhang Wei won over Lin Xiyu so easily. What on earth happened in this life? Forget it. I heard long ago she was hard to pursue. If you ask me, there's probably no chance for us. I might as well just be my carefree self. Chasing Lin Xiyu isn't realistic, and I don't think she's really my type anyway. Zhang Wei shook his head repeatedly, ready to give up. Seeing this, I got angry. Damn it! As a man, how can you give up so easily? You dare yell at me. Zhang Wei looked at me shocked. Not only will I yell at you, I feel like hitting you. Furious at his lack of fight, I shouted, "No wonder Lin Shiyu looks down on you. Someone like you who gives up at the slightest setback. Forget Lin Shiyu, even I look down on you." My words seemed to bring Zhang Wei to his senses. He looked at me seriously. "Brother, thank you for that wake-up call. I understand what I need to do now." "Brother, wait for my good news." Zhang Wei said this and quickly ran off. I didn't know what exactly Zhang Wei had understood. I just hoped he would try harder. After all, someone seems to have said that the world doesn't favor those who reap without sowing, but it also won't let down anyone who works hard. In the following days, Zhang Wei didn't disappoint me. He was persistent every day, confessing his feelings and giving gifts in all sorts of creative ways. However, I know where things went wrong. Lin Shiyu turned a deaf ear to all of it. She immediately handed over all the gifts Zhang Wei sent to me, saying this was all trouble I'd caused her, so I had to help digest them. On this day, Zhang Wei faced his I don't even know how many rejection. After Lin Shiyu left, Zhang Wei looked at me furiously. "Bro, your strategy is totally unreliable. Don't give up yet. Something must be wrong somewhere." "Let me think carefully," I encouraged him. "I won't trust you again," Zhang Wei shouted. "Right." My eyes lit up and I said, "I get it. Lin Shiyu likes to connect with people through poetry. In other words, maybe your love letters aren't good enough. You need to write beautiful love letters, something like poems. Maybe that will move her." "Really?" Hearing my words, Zhang Wei's eyes lit up too. "It must be like that." I looked at Zhang Wei and said unhappily, "But that has nothing to do with you anymore. Didn't you say you don't trust me?" "No, I want to trust you one more time." Zhang Wei grabbed me excitedly. "But I'm not good at writing poetry, especially love poems. How about this, you help me?" "No way." I refused directly. Zhang Wei immediately put on a cheeky grin. "Good brother." "TCH," I scoffed. "One poem for one Coke, how about that?" Zhang Wei asked. "How can love be so materialistic?" "I really looked down on you." I glanced at Zhang Wei disapprovingly, then nodded. "But seeing how sincere you are, I'll reluctantly agree." "Great." Zhang Wei was overjoyed. "With your literary talent plus my sincerity, it's bound to work this time." For the next few days I wrote a poem for Zhang Wei every day, and then Zhang Wei would copy it and give it to Lin Shiyu. Sure enough, this time after Lin Shiyu read them, she didn't tear them up but kept all the poems. Seeing this, I immediately shared the good news with Zhang Wei. After hearing it, Zhang Wei was also overjoyed, saying tearfully that his hard work racking his brains day and night had finally paid off. I was speechless. Clearly, I was the one racking my brains. "Okay. You just copied it down. What part of that was hard work?" Of course, I didn't argue with Zhang Wei. As long as I could help them get together, my goal would be achieved. 1 week later, feeling the time was right, Zhang Wei's confidence surged. Same familiar alley, same familiar place, same familiar pose. Zhang Wei confessed again and again faced a heartless rejection. Watching Zhang Wei get rejected for the nth time, looking utterly devastated, I seemed to hear that song, snowflakes fluttering, north wind whistling. This time it wasn't just Zhang Wei who was stumped, even I didn't know what to do. Where exactly did it go wrong? Something that was so easy in the previous life. Why is it so difficult in this one? Could it be that my meddling not only didn't help but actually made things counterproductive? If it really was counterproductive because of me, doesn't that mean this life is different from the previous one? Thinking of this, I didn't have the mind to care about the devastated Zhang Wei anymore. I quickly ran home, dropped my books, and immediately went next door and knocked. The one who opened the door was Lin Shiyu's mother, Auntie Xiao. "Auntie, is Shiyu back?" I asked. "Oh, it's Yi Fan. Shiyu's home, come on in," Auntie Xiao said, smiling cheerfully. "Thank you." Our two families have been neighbors for 20 years and were very close, so I didn't stand on ceremony and went straight to the study, quite familiar with the place. In the study, Lin Shiyu was doing her homework. I remembered that in my past life, Lin Shiyu had already fallen completely in love with Zhang Wei by this time. At this hour, she should have been going wild with Zhang Wei, but now Lin Shiyu was diligently studying. Bam! I walked up behind Lin Shiyu and deliberately coughed twice. However, Lin Shiyu ignored me. I coughed again, Still the same reaction. I had no choice but to circle around to face her. I need to tell you something. Only then did Lin Xiyu look up at me. If you have something to say it quickly. Spit it out, Root. I said displeased. Are you going to say it or not? If not, don't disturb me while I'm doing my practice test. Lin Xiyu snapped. Fine, I'll talk. I gave Lin Xiyu a deep look and asked directly. Do you really not like Shang Wei? I think he's quite nice. If that's all you wanted to say, you can leave. Lin Xiyu lowered her head and continued with her homework. Seeing this, I grew anxious. What? I remember you clearly liked Shang Wei a lot. You were head over heels in love with him. What did you say? I quickly covered my mouth. Damn it. I let it slip. Lin Xiyu getting together with Shang Wei was something from the previous life. It hadn't happened in this life. Say what you just said again. Lin Xiyu stared at me in astonishment. I realized something was wrong and immediately wanted to leave. As I reached the study door, Lin Xiyu's voice came from behind me. You've been reborn too? I froze on the spot, turning to look at Lin Xiyu. Reborn too? Could it be? She was reborn too? Could Lin Xiyu have been reborn too? How is that possible? I stared at Lin Xiyu in amazement, my face full of disbelief. You too? Hearing my response, a tear rolled down Lin Xiyu's cheek. I am? At this, I couldn't believe it. Not only me, Lin Xiyu couldn't believe it either. Then Lin Xiyu walked up to me, took my hand and started pulling me away. I didn't know where she was taking me, but my mind was completely blank right then, so I just followed her out. In the living room, Lin Xiyu's mother, Aunt Aishao, was mopping the floor. Seeing Lin Xiyu pulling me out by the hand, she looked surprised. Hey. You too, Mama? I have something to do. I'll be back later. Before Aunt Aishao could ask anything, Lin Xiyu lead me out of the house. Aunt Aishao looked puzzled and confused. They're holding hands already? Completely ignoring my presence. Since when did this happen? Outside the residential complex, Lin Xiyu held my hand and kept running. I just followed in a daze. Many memories from my past life surfaced. In my past life, when I found out I had an incurable disease and didn't have long to live, I had asked her for a divorce. That day, she wasn't angry. Instead, she pulled me out of the house just like now. We ran, and eventually we reached Purple Gold Mountain Park and climbed to the summit. She said, darkness can't cover the earth forever. The sun will always rise. Light might come tomorrow. Don't give up. Thinking about all this, I looked again at the surrounding streets. Everything seemed to have changed, yet also seemed like nothing had changed. The only difference was that back then we were both 30 years old, and now we were 18. I don't know how long we ran. Both Lin Xiyu and I were panting. We had arrived at the summit of Purple Gold Mountain Park. Darkness can't shroud the earth forever. The sun will always rise. Light might just be tomorrow. Don't give up, Lin Xiyu said, looking at me. At that moment, I completely broke down in tears. A grown man like me, tears streamed down my face. She was really reborn. Just like me. Why? I asked Lin Xiyu, cry. Because I'm your wife. Lin Xiyu smiled at me and said. Her smile was so radiant and bright in the night, but I was very confused. Before I could voice my question, Lin Xiyu reached out and covered my mouth. You want to ask why I like Zhang Wei in our past life, don't you? You want to ask about the last thing I said to you before you died in our past life, right? I looked at Lin Xiyu, nodded silently, waiting for her answer. Because, Lin Xiyu said, looking at me, I never liked Shang Wei at all in our past life. Impossible. I cried out, whether it was this life or the last. The person I've loved is you. Lin Xiyu looked at me and said, the reason I got together with Shang Wei in our past life was actually because I loved you. But you blockhead were just too slow to realize how I felt. I wanted an answer from you. So to provoke you, I found Zhang Wei and had him cooperate with me in putting on an act. It was all for show to test whether you actually cared about me. But I never expected you'd be so dense, so foolish that you wouldn't see through it all. You even told my parents I was dating. I nearly got beaten to death. Hearing this explanation, I stepped back in astonishment. Was it really like that? I looked closely at Lin Xiyu, finding it hard to believe. Could it be that I had assumed everything all along? But what did you mean by what you said before I died? I looked at Lin Shiyu and asked. I was about to die. Did you still have to lie to me then? What was the point? I meant to deceive you, Lin Shiyu said. Why? I asked. Because the doctors said there was no hope for you. I didn't want you to suffer anymore. Lin Shiyu looked at me, stroking my face, and said, after you died, I was going to follow you. I just never expected that when I opened my eyes again, I'd be back at 18, and I certainly never expected that you'd have come back too. At this, I looked at Lin Shiyu, my thoughts momentarily a jumble. But one thing I understood. Before I died in our past life, Lin Shiyu had told a white lie. So it turned out I had assumed everything all along. Lin Shiyu had loved me all along and had even followed me in death. How could you be so foolish? I couldn't hold back any more and hugged Lin Shiyu, weeping bitterly. I'm so glad now. If it weren't for that choice, how would we have ever met again? Lin Shiyu whispered in my ear. I smiled. She smiled too. Our smiles mingled with tears. We laughed through our tears and cried through our laughter. After a long while, Lin Shiyu let go of me, her face slightly and asked, Are you still going to try and set me up with Zhang Wei now? No way, never again. I smiled at Lin Shiyu and gave her cute little ear a gentle pinch. Stop that. Lin Shiyu pushed me away playfully. After some playful banter, we sat on the grass, Lin Shiyu leaning quietly against my shoulder. We'll definitely see the sunrise tomorrow, won't we? Yes, I'll be with you. Lin Shiyu nodded vigorously. Then, let's not go back tonight, I said, okay? Lin Shiyu nodded. But if we stay out all night, won't our parents kill us? I asked worriedly. We've both died once already. Are we still afraid of a little pain like this? Lin Shiyu said with a smile. We're not going back until we see the sunrise. All right. I nodded with a smile. We waited and waited. By midnight, since neither of us had eaten dinner, we were very hungry. The night was also quite cold, and Lin Shiyu's stomach was growing loudly from hunger. Seeing her like this, I took off my jacket and draped it over her, then said, Wait for me. I'll be right back. Where are you going? Lin Shiyu asked. I walked off without looking back. On the way, it felt like I had endless energy. I ran to the street and bought savory pancakes. When I ran back to the mountain top, I didn't see Lin Shiyu waiting where I left her. Lin Shiyu. I looked around frantically. Stop shouting. At that moment, a voice came from nearby. Looking sideways, I saw Lin Shiyu's parents, Uncle Lin and Dantai Xiao. The two walked over with Lin Shiyu, looking at me grimly, their expressions unpleasant. Learning bad things at such a young age, Uncle Lin glared at me angrily. Who taught you this? I sneakily glanced at Lin Shiyu standing behind Uncle Lin. She stuck her tongue out at me, signaling you're finished. I knew things were troublesome too. Lowering my head, I said, Uncle Lin, it's not what you think. Lin Shiyu and I just wanted to see the sunrise, to observe this natural phenomenon our physics teacher mentioned. The physics teacher told you to watch the sunrise, Uncle Lin said angrily. Yes. The physics teacher said that the essence of science often lies in the simplest principles. Many great inventions and creations actually come from nature, like the sunrise and sunset. Maybe this is the starting point for a great invention, I said with a straight face. Bah! Uncle Lin obviously didn't buy my story. You tricked my daughter away and you still have the nerve to make such excuses. See if I don't beat you. As he spoke, Uncle Lin started looking around for something to hit me with. Before he could find anything, Lin Shiyu, that traitor, had already handed him a bamboo stick. Dad here hit him hard. You're no good either. I'll deal with you when we get back. Uncle Lin took the bamboo stick and was about to start hitting me. How could I just wait to be beaten? Lin Shiyu, I went through all that trouble running to buy savory pancakes for you. And you handed me a stick. I'm breaking up with you. Leaving these words behind, I grabbed the 2 bags of savory pancakes and bolted. I ran non-stop all the way home, dashed into the study, opened a test paper, and instantly transformed into a model student. Less than half an hour later, my parents, who had gone out looking for me, returned. With them, of course, were Uncle Lin and Dantai Xiao. I only heard them chattering away indisticently in the living room. Then my dad rushed into the study wielding the family heirloom feather duster. You wicked child, taste my feather duster. A beating was naturally unavoidable. It hurt so much I couldn't sleep all night. The next day, I woke up with two black eyes, glaring resentfully at my dad eating breakfast. "A rabbit doesn't eat the grass near its own burrow. Your Uncle Lin treats you well, but look at you. Actually setting your sights on his daughter." Dad snorted coldly. "Dad, there's another saying. Don't let fertile water flow into others' fields." I reminded him. Still talking back. Dad instantly got angry and started looking for the feather duster again. No one knew the location of that divine instrument better than me. I found the feather duster first and proactively presented it with both hands. Dad paused, stunned for a moment. "Looks like you've learned something. In my previous life, I died young and never fulfilled any filial duties toward my parents." Thinking of the pain my parents went through, the white-haired seeing off the black-haired, I naturally felt bad. In this life I have a chance to make amends, so of course I cherish this family connection immensely. "Dad, if you want to hit me, just hit me," I said, looking at my dad. "But I promise, after this time, I will absolutely never let this feather duster touch me again." "What?" Dad roared angrily. "You still want to destroy it? No?" Mimicking Bruce Lee's gesture, I wagged my finger and said, "I'm telling you, from this moment on, your son is going to strive hard. I'm going to get into Tsinghua or Peking University, make you grin every day, and absolutely never bring shame upon you." Dad was stunned, seemingly intimidated by my aura. The feather duster actually failed to land on me. Mom beside him was also stunned, her mouth agape. "Since when did our son become so sensible?" Mom immediately walked up to me, looking me over from left, right, top, and bottom. "Are you really my biological son?" "Mom," I was rendered speechless. "How can a real son be fake? That's not right. How can you have such a grand goal?" Mom scratched her head, looking at me puzzled. My real son has never been this ambitious. This time it was my turn to be speechless. So this was how cute Mom and Dad were when they were young. "Mom, just give me a chance to become your pride, okay?" I asked. "In that case, let your dad put away the feather duster first. We'll see how you perform from now on," Mom said with a smile. I chuckled happily, then looked at Dad. "Monster, quickly retract your magic powers." Dad paused for a second and raised the feather duster. "Damn it, looks like I really have to beat you." Another round of family discipline was served. I still couldn't escape it, but to me, this was happiness. After breakfast, I went outside just in time to see Uncle Lin from next door leaving with Lin Shiyu. Seeing me, Lin Shiyu smiled and then said, "Oh my, it was so noisy at the neighbors last night, like slaughtering a pig." It kept me awake. Heartless. I snorted coldly. Uncle Lin's fierce gaze immediately shot over. I shrank back nervously. Last night was a misunderstanding." "What did you call me?" Uncle Lin's eyes widened again. My face turned pale with fright. "It's over. I got used to calling him that in my past life and I often can't correct it in this life. Right now, I can only call him Uncle Lin." "You little brat. Looks like your dad went easy on you last night." "Huh?" Uncle Lin glared and shouted. "Since your dad can't sort you out, I'll help him sort you out." "Don't." I quickly begged for mercy. "Uncle Lin, it's a misunderstanding." "You called me Dad and it's still a misunderstanding?" Uncle Lin raised his hand angrily. "Do I have to wait until you marry my daughter for you to say it's not a misunderstanding?" For a moment I was utterly speechless, unable to defend myself. Just as Uncle Lin's palm was about to fall, Lin Shiyu said, "Dad, forget it. He was quite pitiful getting double-teamed by his parents last night. If you hit him again, I reckon he'll end up in the hospital. Maybe save this slap for next time." Uncle Lin snorted, looked at Lin Shiyu and said, "Don't you forget what you said, what you promised." "Dad, I know. I'm leaving now." Lin Shiyu waved her hand. "Be careful on your way." Uncle Lin called out. "Got it." Lin Shiyu left cheerfully, a smug look in her eyes. Seeing that smug look, I felt incredibly indignant. Why should I be the one getting hit while Lin Shiyu gets away with everything? I couldn't help but glance at Uncle Lin with dissatisfaction. Uncle Lin immediately raised his hand. "Look again. Uncle Lin, bye-bye." I quickly ran away. After I left, the door to my house opened. Mom and Dad looked at Uncle Lin. "Quick, comment on chat. You really want to become in-laws with me?" Uncle Lin exclaimed. My son is aiming for Tsinghua or Peking University. He's more than good enough for your daughter, Mom said proudly. Your son said that too? Uncle Lin looked surprised. Why? Mom asked. My daughter said the same thing, Uncle Lin exclaimed. She's so sensible, I almost doubt she's my biological daughter. The proud smile vanished from my mom's face. Then, with a serious expression, she said, could it be they plotted this together to fool us? Dad instantly became furious. Rebellious son, if I had known, I shouldn't have held back. Downstairs, I caught up with Lin Shiyu. Your dad actually didn't hit you last night. What trick did you use? Nothing much. I just said that before getting into university, I definitely wouldn't date anyone. Lin Shiyu looked at my black eye and smiled. And I also said I would definitely focus completely on preparing for the Gaokao, aiming for at least the level of Tsinghua or Peking University. My dad was so moved he could cry his eyes out. So you said that too, I nodded. Reborn into this life, we are no longer naive, certainly not so curious about adolescent matters. For us, getting into a top university is the real joy. As for love, having experienced life and death separation in our past life, for us just being able to see each other and know the other as well as contentment enough. You said that too? Lin Shiyu asked. Yeah, I said that too, but I still got beaten. I said speechless. It's better being a girl, you just have to admit you're wrong. Your dad couldn't bear to hit his little padded jacket, but it's different for sons. My dad beats me like he's trying to kill me. Serves you right. You must have talked back, Lin Shiyu said. Your dad is actually quite reasonable. You should just go along with his temper. You have a nerve to say that. You were the one who dragged me to Purple Gold Mountain Park last night, I said displeased. Hearing this, Lin Shiyu stopped walking and looked at me seriously. What's wrong? I asked. We will definitely see it, Lin Shiyu said seriously, looking at me. Of course. I knew what she was talking about. In my past life, I contracted an incurable disease and didn't make it to my 30th birthday. Although I've been reborn, will it be the same as the last life? Will I still not live past 30? I've decided when I get into university, I'll study medicine, Lin Shiyu said, looking at me with a serious expression. Then I'll study medicine too, I said. No, Lin Shiyu shook her head. You should study the major you like best. You just need to live every day happily. My heart ached. So what if I've been reborn? I still can't escape that fate. I walked up to Lin Shiyu. Promise me, don't follow me in death. This life, our parents still need you. After saying this, without waiting for her reply, I turned and walked away, because I didn't want her to see my tears. Didn't want her to feel sad, really didn't want to, not at all. In the period that followed, Lin Shiyu and I didn't have any of the things typical couples do. Every day, I could see her when I looked up and she could see me when she looked back. For us, that was already enough. We both poured all our energy into our studies, focusing entirely on preparing for the Gaokao. In our previous life, we had already been husband and wife and shared a common goal in our hearts, so our relationship didn't need any distractions. After some time, the test results came out. I ranked first in the class and 12th in the grade. Lin Shiyu ranked second in the class and 26th in the grade. Looking at my results, Lin Shiyu was quite displeased. On the last test, you were still behind me. Then you must not have worked hard enough, I asked with a smile. That's not true, Lin Shiyu retorted displeased. I obviously spent more time than you. That's not necessarily true. I said confidently, not necessarily. Lin Shiyu reached directly into my pile of books, rummaged through them, and then found a book called Jin Ping Mei. I was instantly embarrassed. Actually, a classmate strongly recommended it and insisted I take it. It said that the ancients loved reading this book, and I was curious what held such great attraction for them. So I planned to find out. I didn't expect it would still fail to escape Lin Shiyu's eyes. You even found this? I looked at Lin Shiyu and said, actually, save your explanations. If you weren't reading this book, you should have been in the top 10 of our grade, Lin Shiyu said with a look of exasperation, disappointed I wasn't reaching my potential. I gave Lin Shiyu a deep look, then forcefully shoved the book on my desk mate. This book is good. Read it and cherish it. My desk mate looked completely bewildered but still opened it curiously. After that, my desk mate's grades dropped several places. Of course, that's a story for later. After Lin Xiyu got angry at my lack of ambition, I studied even harder, focusing entirely on my schoolwork. One day after school, in the familiar alley, Xiang Wei appeared again. Same hairstyle, still so cool and handsome. He wanted to say a few words to Lin Xiyu, but she just shot me a glare and walked straight away. Bro, you've really had it tough, Xiang Wei said meaningfully. You must have suffered quite a bit from Lin Xiyu because of my matter, right? Bro, nobody understands me better than you. Xiang Wei, I exclaimed, putting my arm around Xiang Wei's shoulder, acting like sworn brothers. Bro, tell me, why is it? Xiang Wei asked. Why is what? I asked confused. Isn't it Lin Xiyu? Xiang Wei frowned. You haven't forgotten about my lifelong happiness, have you, bro? Well, I looked awkward. Forgotten. I'd long since put it out of my mind. Besides, this guy was trying to make a move on my future wife. How could I let that happen? These past few days I've really thought things over, after the pain. Xiang Wei, completely oblivious to my unfriendly gaze, muttered to himself. Is it because I'm not handsome enough? Or not romantic enough? Can't express my feelings? I just can't figure it out. I'm clearly the most handsome guy in the entire school. So how can she, Lin Xiyu, not even spare me a glance? But after this test, I figured out. Huh? I looked at Xiang Wei in surprise. You figured out again? The test. Xiang Wei looked at me excitedly. The grades. I asked, puzzled. Isn't it clear enough? Xiang Wei analyzed seriously. Lin Xiyu's rank is second in our class, 26th in our grade. And me? I'm at the bottom of the class, and my name can't even be found in the grade rankings. The gap between Lin Xiyu and me is right here. And because of this, I can't even enter Lin Xiyu's field of vision. If I'm willing to study hard, work diligently every day, and raise my grades to a level that even shocks Lin Xiyu, don't you think she might see me in a different light? And that I'd have a chance, right? Right? I looked at Xiang Wei, astonished. Although Lin Xiyu would probably never like him, his idea wasn't bad. Shouldn't students focus all their energy on their studies? That he could now turn the power of love into motivation for studying was actually quite good. Although his motive wasn't pure, his approach was correct. Maybe years later, after he gets into a good university and finds a better girlfriend, he'll feel fortunate about this. I didn't want to dampen his enthusiasm, so I immediately nodded and said, Brother, you truly are a once-in-a-century genius. You think I'm right too? Xiang Wei asked excitedly. Yes, absolutely right. I nodded. But there's something else I wanted to ask of you, Xiang Wei said, pulling my arm, a shy look on his face. What is it? Just say it. I'll agree to anything. I nodded with a smile. Aren't you and Lin Xiyu neighbors? Which means you can often study and do practice tests together after school. Right? Xiang Wei said with a smile. If I could join too, we could form a college entrance exam victory group. Wouldn't we all improve together? Plus, I could use the opportunity to interact with Lin Xiyu every day and deepen our connection. It's a win-win. I stared at Xiang Wei, stunned. What the hell kind of win-win is that? You win, but I lose big time. You, a poor student, studying with me clearly means I'll have to tutor you. And that's not all. You're even after my girl. No matter how you look at it, I'm the one getting the short end of the stick. I don't know what happened to this Xiang Wei. His brain suddenly clicked. He's way too cunning. What? Seeing I wasn't happy, Xiang Wei asked. You don't think this plan is good? If you don't like it, I have another backup plan. Let me tell you. Don't. I quickly waved my hand. Don't say anymore. Let's go with this plan. But I have to ask Lin Xiyu. I must get her agreement first. Of course. Xiang Wei immediately gave me a salute, then said with a look of utmost. Brother, my entire future rests in your hands. This brother of mine, I really don't want him right now. I grumbled inwardly and said goodbye to Xiang Wei. After getting home, I found Lin Xiyu and told her about Xiang Wei's proposal. Lin Xiyu listened, frowning slightly. I think this is actually quite a good idea. You think it's good? I asked. Of course. Xiang Wei usually doesn't try hard. If we can help him improve while we're improving ourselves, it counts as doing a good deed. Lin Xiu smiled. He'll thank us later. His goal isn't that simple, I said. Isn't that all because of you? Who told you to be so presumptuous and push him to like me? Lin Xiu said unhappily. I hesitated. After thinking carefully, I thought about my 30-year-old hurdle. If I wasn't around anymore, what would Lin Xiu do alone? More friends mean more options. I must pave the way for Lin Xiu while I'm still alive. Of course, these are just thoughts in my head. I decided to agree to this. Our college entrance exam victory trio was formed. The next day, Zheng Wei was the most excited. He told everyone he met, boasting loudly. Even our homeroom teacher found out about it. Because of this, the homeroom teacher called Lin Xiu and me into the office and earnestly lectured us, with a lot of life principles. It basically boiled down to, this is a critical time for the college entrance exam, and we couldn't let a poor student jeopardize our own studies. Lin Xiu and I nodded repeatedly. Soon it was time for another test. My score ranked first in the class and 9th in the grade. Lin Xiu was second in the class and 22nd in the grade. Zheng Wei was the happiest. He had improved from ranking in the 30s in class to 21st in his class. Although he still didn't rank in the grade, his progress was visible to the naked eye. This attracted a lot of envy, and because of it, many people started paying attention to our college entrance exam victory group. And countless others wanted to join. While some were genuinely here for their studies, most had ulterior motives. Many were actually trying to get close to the campus beauty, Lin Xiu. Of course, there was also a group of girls who were likely here for Zheng Wei after all. Although this Zheng Wei guy didn't have great grades, he had good looks and a unique style, which were very attractive to girls. So naturally, I couldn't agree to let these people join. Besides, the group size really shouldn't be too large. Too many people would just distract everyone, not only defeating the group's purpose but also reducing efficiency. It wouldn't be worth it. I naturally had to shoulder the responsibility. I rejected all their applications without mercy. Because of this action, I offended many people. Some people started expressing their dissatisfaction with me privately. Sometimes I would even overhear some whispers. What's he so proud of? It's just a study group. We'll start one tomorrow too. And it won't be any worse than theirs. Exactly. We didn't even want to join anyway. I bet he just wants daily contact with the campus beauty himself, taking advantage of his position. That must be it. I wanted to use this chance to get to know Zheng Wei from class. And this guy actually rejected my application. I'm furious. PFF. Ignore him. What's he got to be so smug about? I know people in class. I can ask them to introduce you to Zheng Wei. There were many kinds of unfriendly comments, but having lived a life before, I naturally wouldn't take them to heart. To me, most people here were merely passers-by in my life. However, although I didn't care about these things, I still underestimated human nature, and a greater disaster would soon befall me because of it. The homeroom teacher called me to the office. When I arrived at the office, I saw another girl sitting there. She wore glasses and looked very quiet. She got very excited when she saw me. Hello, I responded politely, not thinking much of it. Soon my homeroom teacher arrived, and with her was the homeroom teacher of class. The class homeroom teacher looked at me and smiled. You must be Yi Fan. Hello, teacher, I said politely. Yes, quite impressive. The class homeroom teacher nodded and then looked towards my homeroom teacher. My homeroom teacher politely asked me to sit down and even poured me a glass of water. Teacher, why did you call me here? There's a national math competition coming up soon. Elite high school students from all over the country will be participating. My homeroom teacher looked at me with a gentle smile. If you can distinguish yourself in such a major competition and achieve a good ranking, you'll have a chance to be preferentially admitted to top universities, securing guaranteed admission. And if you place in the top 3, you're certain to get guaranteed admission to Tsinghua or Peking University. Hearing this, my eyes widened and my heart pounded with excitement. Really? Don't get too excited just yet, my homeroom teacher said with a smile. The spots for the competition are very precious. Our school has many classes, but there are only 3 spots in total. Hearing this, I wasn't worried at all, because I knew very well that since the homeroom teachers from 2 different classes had both come to see me, they must intend to give me one of the spots, otherwise Why would they have specifically sought me out and mentioned this matter? I smiled. Teacher, how could I get the spot? Hearing this, my homeroom teacher and the teacher from class exchanged smiles. My homeroom teacher said, you could say it's difficult, but it's also simple. What's the condition? The homeroom teacher pointed to the quiet, demure girl beside me who hadn't said a word, stating, as long as you let her join your college entrance exam victory group and in the next test raise her score into the top 50 of the grade, this spot will be yours. I looked at the girl beside me. I never would have thought the condition would be this. This girl looks so ordinary. How could she receive such special treatment? Could it be that her family background is very influential? That must be it, absolutely. I took a deep breath. But on second thought, no matter how influential this girl's family background was, it had nothing to do with me. For me, this spot was too important. Guaranteed admission to Tsinghua or Peking University. The allure was too great. It directly shut my mouth, leaving me with no excuse to refuse. Well, my homeroom teacher and the teacher from class both looked at me with smiles, seeming very confident in me. Do you have confidence? I can't make any guarantees, I said. Just do your best. We have confidence in you. The homeroom teacher smiled. After all, you managed to help a poor student improve their grades so much. Helping Wu Zihan improve shouldn't be too difficult. Alright, I'll take this job. I agreed immediately. The allure of guaranteed admission was simply too great. I simply couldn't find any reason to refuse. After school, Lin Qiyu, Zhang Wei, and I walked together to the school gate, and a girl named Wu Zihan was already standing there waiting. Hello, senior. Wu Zihan immediately greeted me politely upon seeing me. Zhang Wei and Lin Qiyu were slightly taken aback and both looked at me. Where did you find this pretty girl? Zhang Wei looked at me with a knowing grin. Didn't expect this. You're quite something. Don't talk nonsense. The homeroom teacher recommended her for our college entrance exam victory group. I explained. What? Zhang Wei exclaimed. Your homeroom teacher actually forced someone into our group. No way. It didn't even go through me. I don't agree. To be precise, it was our class homeroom teacher and the class homeroom teacher teaming up to force her, and I looked at Zhang Wei. Do you want a challenge to homeroom teachers? Well, Zhang Wei instantly chickened out. Just pretend I didn't say anything. Then I looked at Wu Zihan, introduced Zhang Wei and Lin Qiyu to her, and the four of us set off. Lin Qiyu and I walked ahead while Zhang Wei intentionally lagged behind, pestering Wu Zihan with questions, making the girl blush. Lin Qiyu, walking beside me, asked, You actually bowed to authority. I couldn't help it, they really offered too much, I said. What was it? Lin Qiyu asked. The National High School Mathematics Competition. I looked at Lin Qiyu and said, if you excel in it, you could get priority admission spots to top universities. If you rank in the top 3, you get guaranteed admission to Tsinghua or Peking University. Lin Qiyu's eyes widened. This was something every high school student dreamed of. Even she had to admit they had offered too much. It was impossible to refuse. After a moment of surprise, Lin Qiyu glanced back at Wu Zihan. Who exactly is she? Her family background must be pretty significant, right? Seeing Lin Qiyu so surprised, I glanced back too. I shrugged and said, who knows? Anyway, it's not our business. I actually think Zhang Wei seems quite taken with her. Might be something there. Lin Qiyu looked back again. Indeed. Let's hope this turns out to be a good thing, not a bad one. With Wu Zihan joining, our group became more lively. Wu Zihan was very quiet and reserved at first, but after getting familiar with us, she opened up and gradually started talking about everything with us. Lin Qiyu and I took turns tutoring Wu Zihan, putting a lot of effort into it. Zhang Wei was also putting in a lot of effort. Since Wu Zihan arrived, he seemed like a changed person, incredibly enthusiastic towards her. This enthusiasm even surpassed his previous enthusiasm for Lin Qiyu. Anyone could see that Zhang Wei was really serious this time and had made up his mind. But we saw through it and kept quiet. Days passed by like this. The results of another test came out. What I cared about most, of course, was Wu Zihan's score. Without even taking the time to check my own ranking, I ran straight to class, found Wu Zihan and asked, How did it go? Wu Zihan looked at me, her face etched with disappointment. Seeing this, my heart sank. Didn't make the top 50? That couldn't be right. I had put so much effort into tutoring her, not just me. Lin Shiyu had devoted a lot of effort too. Besides, Wu Ziyi's original ranking was already around 60th in the grade. With just a little improvement, she should have easily entered the top 50. How could this be? I nervously grabbed the ranking sheet and scanned it from top to bottom. My score placed me 5th in the grade. Lin Shiyu's 19th. Continuing down the list, finally at the 50th spot, I saw Wu Ziyi's name. I breathed a sigh of relief, looked at Wu Zihan and asked, "See? You made it into the top 50, didn't you?" But Wu Zihan said, still looking crestfallen. Zhang Wei improved even more. He was originally ranked somewhere around TH in the grade, and now he's TH. He jumped over 100 places. Zhang Wei's progress shocked me too. I looked closely and sure enough, there was Zhang Wei's name at the TH position. Such rapid improvement, even professional tutors would give him a thumbs up. Even a bodhisattva witnessing it would shake their head in disbelief. Keep in mind, when I first met Zhang Wei, he ranked in the 30s in our class and his name didn't even appear on the grade-wide ranking list. I was stunned for a moment, then turned to Wu Zihan with a smile. "Don't be discouraged. You only joined our study group recently, you'll keep improving." Wu Zihan looked at me and smiled. "Congratulations to you too." I chuckled happily. Right now I've only secured a spot to compete. Whether I can actually stand out and finish in the top 3 in the competition is still up in the air. "I'm sure you definitely can," Wu Zihan said confidently. "Thanks." Without another word, I immediately headed to the head teacher's office. Naturally, the head teacher gave me a thumbs up as well. When the 4 of us arrived home in the afternoon, we found gongs being beaten and drums sounding right at the doorstep. We wondered whose family was celebrating a joyous occasion with such fanfare. The 4 of us looked on curiously, but a big man ran over and, without any explanation, pulled me straight into a hug. "Mister, what are you doing?" I was completely stunned. "Would you like me to continue transforming the rest of this story or focus on a specific plot point? You must be Yi fan, right?" "I often hear my son talk about you. You're my son's savior. Thanks to you, he now has hope of getting into university." The big man, beaming with joy, gripped my hand, expressing his gratitude over and over. It turned out he was Zhang Wei's dad. No wonder someone was here beating gongs and drums. I turned back to look at Zhang Wei, who seemed deeply embarrassed by his father's actions, looking like he wished he could just disappear into his collar. After the commotion with the gongs and drums, Zhang Wei's dad insisted on taking us all out to a restaurant to show his gratitude. In the end, we declined, using the excuse that we still had practice papers to finish. However, my parents and Lin Shiyu's parents were dragged off to the restaurant as our representatives. After that, I focused wholeheartedly on preparing for the math competition. In the blink of an eye, it was the competition was starting the next day. That day, the head teacher kept me behind after school, asking me to come to his office because there were some specific things he needed to discuss. I didn't know how long the head teacher would ramble on, so I told Lin Shiyu, Zhang Wei, and Wu Zihan to go ahead and not wait for me. Besides, the competition was tomorrow and I had a lot to prepare. I told them I wouldn't be going to the study group today, letting them study on their own. Coming out of the office, it was already close to 7 in the evening. At this time in winter, it got dark quickly. By this hour, it was pitch black everywhere. Just as I was about to leave, a student I didn't know walked up to me and handed me a note. "What's this?" I asked. "I don't know either. Someone asked me to give it to you," the student said. "Thanks." Without thinking much, I thanked him and opened the note. "It waiting for you in the lab." Next to it was a name, Wu Zihan. Seeing those words, I frowned slightly. Didn't Wu Zihan go to Lin Shiyu's place? Why would she be waiting for me in the lab? I was a bit puzzled, but Wu Zihan was a decent friend, so I didn't overthink it and went to the lab alone. The school's lab wasn't used often, so the lock was broken and no one had replaced it. I pushed open a lab door. It was pitch black inside, and I could vaguely make out a figure within. I tried to turn on the light, but it wouldn't switch on. "Wu Zihan?" I called out towards the human-like silhouette inside. The next moment, there was a loud bang behind me. I turned around to see the lab door had suddenly been slammed shut. Startled, I quickly turned back. The door was held shut firmly by someone. I couldn't pull it open no matter how hard I tried. Fear instantly gripped my heart, not fear of the darkness here, but fear of what would happen to tomorrow's math competition if I couldn't get out. This was something that could change my life. I absolutely couldn't lose this chance. I couldn't think of anyone I had such a deep grudge against. Who on earth would want to harm me like this? Who are you? In desperation, I desperately yelled toward the outside. What do you want? A man's voice came from outside. Ye fan, if you want to blame someone, blame yourself for being clueless. What do you mean? Let me out, I shouted. Still pretending, huh? The person outside yelled. Since it's come to this, I'll tell you straight, Wu Zihan isn't for you. You shouldn't be hitting on her. What? Me hitting on Wu Zihan? What kind of nonsense was this? I pounded on the door angrily. You must be mistaken. Open the door first, we can clear this up. I have nothing to do with Wu Zihan. Huh? The person outside retorted. You think I believe you? You have to believe me. You must. I frantically pulled at the door, but it wouldn't budge. Give up. I've wedged the door shut with a wooden stick. Unless someone comes by right now, finds you trapped inside, and opens it from the outside, you won't be able to pull it open. The person outside said. His words drove me nearly to despair. I couldn't give up, even though I'd likely only be trapped here for one night at most and someone would rescue me when they came for class the next day. But I couldn't miss the math competition. I pulled hard at the door again. You're just too greedy, the person outside said again. Isn't having the school beauty, Lin Xiu, enough for you? You still want to compete with me for Wu Zihan? I don't understand. Why? I'm clearly better than you. Where exactly did I lose to you? The person outside grew increasingly agitated as he spoke. I, however, calmed down and listened quietly to his monologue. Better than me? I wasn't the type of troublemaker student who fought, so the way he was better than me could only be academically. I was ranked 5th in our grade, which meant this person was one of the top 4 in the grade. Among the top 4, there were 2 boys and 2 girls. The person outside was male, so it was either Chen Minka-ai or Xiao Guangliang. Chen Minka-ai. He's from class. Chen Minka-ai ranked 1st in the grade. How could it be him? I was utterly shocked. I never would have imagined, not in a million years, that a nerd almost exactly like me could do something like this. Chen Minka-ai. I immediately yelled towards the door. You're Chen Minka-ai, aren't you? No, the person outside shouted. Stop pretending. You said you're better than me, so you must be one of the top 4. And there are only 2 boys in the top 4, I said. Xiao Guangliang's voice is very high-pitched. People nickname him Little Eunuch. So this voice can only be yours. Hearing my analysis, the person outside fell silent. Afraid he would just leave, I quickly said, Chen Minka, I open the door now. If you open it right now, I'll pretend none of this ever happened. Otherwise, you know what you've done will ruin your future. Future? Hearing this, Chen Minka, I suddenly grew even angrier, shouting. For people like us, what future could possibly compare to a recommendation to Tsinghua or Peking University? You. Hearing this, my heart sank again. Chen Minka, I knew I had the competition tomorrow, yet he deliberately tricked me into coming here and locked me in, meaning he intentionally set me up to make me miss the competition. This guy is terrifying. My grades are clearly the best in the grade, so why wasn't this opportunity given to me? Why was it given to you? Chen Minka-ai's escalating shouts came from outside again. It's not fair. Calm down, I yelled. How can I calm down? Chen Minka-ai shouted. I'm clearly better than you at everything, yet I have nothing compared to you. The school beauty, the class beauty, they all like you. Even a recommendation spot goes to you. Why? I won't accept it. But your grades are still the best in the school, with your ability. You can definitely get in on your own. I knew anything I said now was futile. I could only try to soothe his emotions and explain the stakes. Open the door quickly. You can't disregard your future just because of this bit of jealousy. Think about your parents. Think about your... I spoke for a long time, but there was no longer any sound from outside. Chen Minka had already run off. How could this happen? I sank powerlessly to the floor, my face filled with despair. Knowing Chen Minka I had left, I was utterly desperate. I walked to the window. This was the top floor of the school, the 6th floor. I considered trying to climb down from here, but it was too high. Besides, there were no good footholds or handholds nearby, and I wasn't good at climbing. The probability of falling and getting injured was definitely over 60%. I wanted to take the gamble, but ultimately, I thought of Lin Shiyu. I thought of my parents, especially recalling my previous life, how I left at 30, the pain of my white-haired parents mourning their black-haired son, and how Lin Shiyu followed me in death. I suddenly felt the weight on my shoulders was heavy. I couldn't disregard them because of a moment's impulse. Climbing down from here, I had less than a 40% chance of success. Those odds were too low. The burden I carried was heavy. I still had to be filial to my parents. I still had to see Lin Shiyu happy every day. Besides, even if I attended the competition, it wasn't guaranteed I'd get the recommendation. Conversely, even if I lost this chance, it didn't mean I couldn't get into a top university. All of this calmed me down. I couldn't take the gamble. This bet wasn't worth risking everything for. I leaned against the corner, sat on the floor, and became completely calm. I spent the whole night thinking. It wasn't until near noon the next day that people came to the top floor lab for class. I was let out. The physics teacher looked at me astonished and asked what had happened. I didn't say a word. Soon I was taken to the office. My head teacher saw me, his face full of disappointment. Do you know how precious the spot was? Do you know what kind of opportunity you've missed? I'm sorry, I said, lowering my head. Teacher Zhang said you were locked in a rooftop lab. What exactly happened? The head teacher asked, his face dark. Hearing this, I looked at the head teacher. Can I choose not to say? What do you mean? The head teacher frowned. If I say it, I might ruin that person's life. I looked at the head teacher and said, but he's a promising student. I don't want him to fall into an abyss because of this. You kid. The head teacher looked at me angrily and yelled, trying to be a saint. No, I shook my head. Who doesn't make mistakes? Even saints are. And I just want to give him a chance, that's all. You saint. You're so kind, the head teacher said angrily. Then what about me? How am I supposed to explain this to the school? Just tell the truth. Say, I refuse to reveal who it was, I said. All right. Actually, what really happened was after I was tricked into going inside, the person locked the door. So I didn't get a clear look at what they looked like either. So you're not technically concealing anything, are you? The head teacher laughed, exasperated lie. Yes. I nodded. I don't believe you don't know who it was. The head teacher, still unwilling to give up, said, how about this? You tell me who you suspect it was. I just won't report it. Sir, I really don't know who it was, and I can't accuse someone based solely on suspicion. I shook my head. If you're not satisfied, you can investigate it yourself slowly. Leaving him with these words, I walked straight out. Who said you could leave? The head teacher shouted, but I ignored him. Downstairs. My parents had already heard the news and arrived anxiously. Not just them, Lin Shiyu's parents were there too. They asked me one after another what happened. I recounted the incident once, then said I was shaken up tired, just wanted to rest, and didn't want to talk anymore. Seeing me like this, my mom didn't ask further questions and took me home to rest. Actually, the reason I didn't name Chen Minka I wasn't because I'm some kind of saint choosing magnanimity. It was actually the result of a whole night of careful consideration. Firstly, Chen Minka I's grievances from last night are still vivid in my mind. The world truly isn't fair to everyone. Many people might have experienced similar unfairness, but that doesn't mean someone treated unfairly by fate is irredeemably evil. Chen Minka I's just too young, he chose the wrong way to protest. Secondly, from a practical self-interest perspective, Chen Minka I did this to me. If I retaliate immediately, what do I gain? Someone stabs you, you stab them back, and then what? Have you gained any real benefit? What's lost is already lost. Is mutual retaliation worth it? To put it more bluntly, Chen Minka is probably not thinking clearly right now, likely on the edge of madness. Someone like that is too dangerous at this moment. If I expose him now, not only do I gain nothing, but it might risk him being expelled from school. That way, I'd ruin his life, completely destroy his future. Wouldn't that push him into a desperate situation? Wouldn't someone cornered fight desperately and do something even crazier? If this incident drives Chen Minka I completely mad, leading him to do something with consequences I truly cannot bear. then I would really regret it beyond measure. I might not be afraid for myself, but I'm afraid for the people around me. For example, might Chen Minka go after Lin Shiyu? If something like that were to happen, I absolutely couldn't bear it. These are the real-world stakes. Our ancestors already taught us how to handle these things with their wisdom. When will the cycle of revenge ever end? It's better to forgive when you can. I feel my choice wasn't wrong. Besides, from a purely self-interested perspective, revealing his identity would only harm him and I wouldn't gain anything. On the contrary, perhaps not revealing him is how I maximize my own benefit. I'll have leverage over him because of this. He'll owe me a favor because of this, even if he doesn't feel he owes me a favor. His conscience will bother him. He's a human being, not a devil. Humans have feelings. I rested at home all day. In the evening, Lin Shiyu, Wu Zihan, and Zhang Wei all came to my place to see me and help me catch up on the day's lessons. After 10 o'clock, Zhang Wei and Wu Zihan left. Lin Shiyu and I saw them off downstairs, seeing Zhang Wei and Wu Zihan's relationship getting better and better. I realized Chen Minka must have misunderstood. It was clearly Zhang Wei who was pursuing Wu Zihan, but he mistakenly thought it was me. I got dragged into this innocently. You definitely know who it was, don't you? Lin Shiyu asked. I didn't want to hide it from Lin Shiyu, so I told her the answer directly. Chen Minka. Lin Shiyu listened in disbelief. But Chen Minka is consistently one of the top students in our school. How could he dare to do something so outrageous because of you? I looked at Lin Shiyu and teased her. What does it have to do with me? What does it have to do with me? Lin Shiyu asked curiously. I put on an air of mystery, looked up at the moon, and said, mimicking the ancients, since ancient times, beautiful women have always been a source of trouble. You're annoying. Lin Shiyu punched me lightly in frustration. What does it have to do with me? You're so pretty. Shin Minka has a crush on you, and I'm his rival in love, so naturally he'd hate me, right? I said with a smile. Impossible. Lin Shiyu's eyes flashed. She pointed at me and said, tell me the truth right now. It definitely wasn't because of that. Spit it out. I'm just not telling you. It was fun teasing her. Being chased all the way by Lin Shiyu, I felt very happy. Missing the chance for direct admission wasn't too big a blow for me. The most precious things to me are my family and friends around me. Their health and happiness are my greatest wish. Lin Shiyu and I eased and chased each other along the way. When we got hungry, we went to eat malatang on the street together. Lin Shiyu kept asking me about it the whole time, but I just wouldn't tell her. When we got back downstairs in the residential complex from quite a distance, I saw a thin figure. I stopped walking and grabbed Lin Shiyu's hand. What are you doing? Lin Shiyu swatted at my hand. I pointed towards the distant figure. Here comes the answer, Chen Minka I. Lin Shiyu was furious. She shook off my hand, stormed up to Chen Minka angrily, and slapped him right across the face. Why? Facing Lin Shiyu's anger, Chen Minka lowered his head. I'm sorry. It was a moment of impulse. Chen Minka cried. Perhaps at that moment he also felt scared. Is just saying sorry useful? Lin Shiyu shouted at Chen Minka If apologies were enough, would the world even need a distinction between good and bad? I'm sorry. I know apologizing doesn't solve the problem, and I know what I did was terrible, but Chen Minka cried his eyes out. Constantly repenting. Lin Shiyu was very angry and gave Chen Minka a fierce scolding. I stood aside watching quietly, not saying a word, letting Lin Shiyu vent her anger at him. Although I chose not to report him, he was indeed wrong. Criticism was still necessary where it was due. Besides, the college entrance exams were actually getting close. Lin Shiyu had been under a lot of academic pressure recently, and this was a perfect opportunity for her to kill two birds with one stone. Soon, Chen Minka couldn't stand Lin Shiyu's accusations anymore and knelt before me. I'm sorry. I thought it through. I won't evade responsibility. If you tell the teacher my name now, I won't resent you. Stop. Chen Minka confessed, still kneeling. Why are you being so hypocritical? Lin Shiyu exclaimed indignantly. You know perfectly well Yifan didn't turn you in today, and he won't tomorrow either. Why bother saying things like that? That's precisely because he didn't turn me in that eye. I feel even more guilty, Chen Minka said through tears. If Yifan had given my name today, I would actually feel relieved. Hearing this, the fierce-looking Lin Xiyu paused for a moment. Only then did she understand why I hadn't exposed Chen Mingkai even though I knew it was him. Lin Xiyu immediately shot me a look. The look seemed to say, retreating to advance, "You're quite something." I smiled and returned a look that said, "Thanks for the compliment." Then I walked over to Chen Mingkai and helped him up. "It's all right. Actually, while locked in a lab last night because of you, I did a lot of thinking. I feel that you and I are alike. We're both pitiful people." "You?" Chen Mingkai looked at me in surprise, seemingly not understanding my meaning. "Actually, I have an illness. I won't live past 30, I said, looking at Chen Mingkai. "What?" Chen Mingkai's eyes widened instantly. I gave a nonchalant smile. "Now you know why I said we're both pitiful, right? Strictly speaking, you're much luckier than me, aren't you?" "What kind of illness is it?" Chen Mingkai asked in surprise. "Why don't you get treatment? If it were curable, don't you think I'd want to live a few more years?" I said, shaking my head. At this, Chen Mingkai was completely stunned. His eyes filled with sympathy as he looked at me. "Help me keep this secret. Don't tell anyone. Even my parents don't know about this. Only you and Lin Xiyu know," I said, looking at Chen Mingkai with utter sincerity. At this, Chen Mingkai's eyes welled up again. "I'm sorry. I was even jealous that you got the spot for the math competition. I'm truly not human. I'm an animal." Chen Mingkai slapped himself a few times, crying. I smiled and stopped him. "Chen Mingkai, you don't need to blame yourself. This has nothing to do with you. It's just my fate." Chen Mingkai was moved to tears. I didn't need to say much more. He already owed me a huge favor. "By the way, why don't you join our college entrance exam victory group too?" I looked at Chen Mingkai and extended the invitation. "With you joining, our group will be even stronger. Like adding wings to a tiger. From now on, we can push each other academically. It will definitely benefit everyone." "With my character, am I qualified to join?" Chen Mingkai asked, looking ashamed. "Only the three of us know about this. No fourth person will find out. Don't worry," I said with a smile. "After school tomorrow, just come over with everyone else, okay?" "Okay, I'll definitely do everything I can to help you become no." "In school," Chen Mingkai said, wiping his tears as he looked at me. "Then aren't you personally cultivating a competitor?" I asked with a smile. "Without a competitor I'd find it boring," Chen Mingkai laughed. We chatted about some lighter topics, and then Chen Mingkai left. As he left, he kept looking back again and again. And here I was, only 18, already having reached the pinnacle of moral character, persuading others through virtue. After Chen Mingkai left, Lin Xiyu looked at me. "Aren't you something? Quite the expert. Persuading through virtue. Now, are you?" "Piece of cake," I said with a smile. "Now you understand whether my approach to handling this was right or wrong, don't you?" "I have to admit, that move of yours was pretty impressive." Lin Xiyu praised me. "A rare occurrence." I was instantly pleased. "How about a kiss as a reward?" "Dream on." Lin Xiyu huffed, turning to leave. But I thought of something important and quickly grabbed Lin Xiyu. "In our past life, you didn't bear me a child. We can't miss out this time around. Anyway, don't even think about touching me before university." Lin Xiyu blushed and left in a huff. The next day, news of Chen Mingkai joining our Gaokao Victory Study group caused another stir. Suddenly, many more people wanted to apply to join. I continued to ruthlessly refuse them. The group size limit couldn't be too large. Too many members would lead to chaos, not only failing to help everyone improve but actually hindering individual efficiency. Xiang Wei and Wu Zihan were also surprised by Chen Mingkai's addition, but they didn't dwell on it and welcomed him. After all, Chen Mingkai's grades had consistently ranked first or second in the school for years. The addition of such an academic ace was naturally welcome. However, as time went on, problems soon emerged. Chen Mingkai and Zhang Wei became love rivals. Both had actually developed feelings for Wu Zihan. And as time passed, we naturally learned more about Wu Zihan's background. Her father was the chairman of a publicly listed company, making her family extremely wealthy. Of course, I didn't envy any of this. With only 30 years to live, all I needed was for my family to be healthy and well. However, while I didn't care about such things, Lin Xiyu did. Ever since learning about Wu Ziyai-chan's incredibly strong family finances, Lin Shiyu paid more attention to her and their relationship grew closer. I actually knew what Lin Shiyu hoped to gain, but I wasn't optimistic about it. Soon only 2 days remained until the Gaokao. During these 2 days, we all advocated for relaxation, aiming to face the final exam in the best possible condition. Therefore, our study groups stopped meeting. Everything that needed learning had been learned. Now it all came down to performance on the day. However, I felt particularly tense these few days. I was scared. I was afraid I wouldn't do well on the exam and would disappoint my parents. With only 30 years to live, I hoped to be my parents' pride throughout my entire life. Precisely because I had set such high goals for myself, the pressure I felt was incomparable. My parents noticed my stress and comforted me, telling me not to overthink. Yet the more they comforted me, the greater the pressure I felt. As evening approached dinner time, knock knock knock. I knock sounded at the door. I opened the door to find Lin Shiyu standing outside. She was dressed especially beautifully today, exuding the captivating charm of a fairy. Gazing at the exceptionally stunning Lin Shiyu today, I gradually became lost in the sight. Have you stared enough? Lin Shiyu asked, blushing slightly. Not yet, I said, staring at her. How can you be so beautiful today? At least you have good taste. Lin Shiyu glanced at me, then took my hand. Come with me. Where are we going? I asked. Don't worry about it, just follow me, Lin Shiyu said, pulling me along. Although I didn't know where she was taking me, following her made me feel very much at ease. We went out onto the street and Lin Shiyu led me to a restaurant for dinner. This place is expensive, isn't it? I looked at the restaurant's decor, then at the dishes Lin Shiyu had ordered. I felt this meal wouldn't cost less than several hundred yuan. Several hundred yuan. For us, that was a huge sum. What are you afraid of? It's not like you're paying. Lin Shiyu handed me the menu. Take another look. Anything else you want to order? This is plenty. We won't be able to finish it all. I quickly waved my hand and said. Seeing me like this, Lin Shiyu smiled. What are you afraid of? I have money. Where did you get so much money? I asked. Yeah, my dad gave it to me, Lin Shiyu said. My future father-in-law. I looked surprised. Yes. Lin Shiyu smiled. My dad said, you seemed a bit off these past few days. So he told me to treat you to a nice meal to help you relax. He also told me to tell you, the Gaokao college entrance exam is the day after tomorrow. Just eat and drink what you should. Don't put too much pressure on yourself. I felt a surge of emotion listening to this. I hadn't expected my future father-in-law, who usually seems fierce, to be so concerned about me. Thinking of this, I looked at Lin Shiyu, who looked especially beautiful tonight. Looks like your father has completely accepted me. Marrying you should be a sure thing now, right? In your dreams, marrying me isn't that easy. Lin Shiyu retorted displeased. You haven't fallen for someone else, have you? I asked dissatisfied. What are you thinking? The food's here. Hurry up and eat, after you're full. I have other plans, Lin Shiyu said, looking at me with a slight blush. I didn't dare disobey her command, stuffing myself with food, afraid to waste any. This was a big meal treated by Lin Shiyu. Wasting it would be a sin. After dinner, Lin Shiyu took me for a walk down the street. When we passed a men's clothing store, she insisted on dragging me inside to try on clothes, buying me a whole new outfit from head to toe. Leaving the men's clothing store, seeing Lin Shiyu had spent several hundred more yuan, I couldn't help but ask, this wasn't your father's idea too, was it? How much money did my father-in-law actually give you? Don't worry about it. Tonight, just focus on relaxing. Lin Shiyu didn't answer. After shopping and buying clothes, she pulled me along to watch a movie. When we came out of the cinema, it was already. Let's go home, I said, holding Lin Shiyu's hand. No, we're not going back tonight. Lin Shiyu stopped, her gaze shifting to a nearby hotel. We're staying here tonight. Ah? I looked at Lin Shiyu, stunned. She had clearly said that before university she wouldn't think about such things nor would she date anyone. But now, I looked at the hotel again. What? Lin Shiyu looked at me and asked, this is the most precious gift I'm giving you. Don't you want it? Of course I want it. I looked at Lin Shiyu. She looked truly beautiful tonight. Then, you're just shy? Lin Shiyu asked. We were husband and wife in our past life. What do I have to be shy about? I said worriedly. I'm afraid of your dad. He won't kill me, will he? Before I left, I told my dad I wasn't coming home tonight. Lin Shiyu said. And your dad agree? I asked nervously. He didn't say anything. He neither agreed nor disagreed, Lin Shiyu said, looking at me. So that means he tacitly agreed. My heart leapt with joy. Lin Shiyu nodded shyly. Seeing this, I didn't say another word. Just held Lin Shiyu's hand tightly and walked towards the hotel. The Gao Cow ended smoothly. I scored over points, Lin Shiyu scored points lower than me. Both of us underperformed slightly, not reaching our expected scores. But I felt very content. Lin Shiyu and I chose the same university. Would you like me to continue the story? Or perhaps explore the university years of Yifan and Lin Shiyu? After Ma Xiaoyu placed the ring on her finger, the crowd erupted into a mixture of shocked gasps and enthusiastic cheers. Jiyu Aizan's father looked like he was about to have a heart attack. But before he could shout for security, I signaled to the side. A group of guests, we had brought along mostly employees from my and Minka Ai's companies, started a thunderous round of applause, making it look like a planned romantic surprise. In the chaos of the emotion and the music, the two of them bolted from the stage, hand in hand toward the exit where our getaway car was waiting. The aftermath of the wedding. The great bride snatching up became legendary in our circle. Jiyu Aizan's father was furious at first, but when Minka Ai's company secured its massive investment, he realized the poor kids he once looked down upon were now the rising stars of the business world. He eventually caved, especially after finding out Jiyu Aizan was already planning her life with Ma Xiaoyu, with or without his blessing. My life countdown years left. Despite the joy of my friends, the shadow over my own life grew darker. I was now. The business, my company was thriving, but I began quietly restructuring the legal framework to ensure Lin Shiyu would have total control and financial security. The family, my son was growing fast. Every time he called me dad, a knife twisted in my heart. I wanted to see him go to school, to graduate, to marry. But I knew the biological clock was ticking toward 30. A final wish at the summit. On a crisp autumn night, the five of us, now all married or engaged, returned to the summit of Shizi Hangshan Park. The air was cooler, and we were older. But as we looked at the city lights, the bond felt stronger than ever. We've beaten fate once, Ma Xiaoyu said, hugging Jiyu Aizan. We can do it again. I looked at Lin Shiyu. She held my hand, her eyes reflecting the stars. She didn't know about the illness. I had told Minka Ai, but she felt my urgency, my desperate need to love her every second. The ultimate secret. I pulled Minka Ai aside one last time. If anything happens to me in 2 years, I whispered, you take care of the technical side of the business for Shiyu. Don't let her struggle. Minka Ai looked at me, his eyes moist. You're still talking about that illness. Yifan, you've survived this long. You're a miracle. You aren't going anywhere. I smiled, but inside, I wondered if the reset of my life had a hard stop, or if the love I had built, this child of a company and my real son, had finally earned me a reprieve from the heavens. Would you like me to skip forward to the fateful year of your birthday, to see if the prophecy comes true? Or should we explore the final 2 years of your entrepreneurial peak? I felt the small, warm hand of my son wrap around my finger. That tiny, firm grip felt like an anchor, pulling me back from the abyss of the dark universe I had been drifting in. Looking around the hospital room, I saw the faces of everyone who mattered. Ma Xiaoyu and Jiyu Aizan, still in their wedding attire, but looking relieved. Minka Ai, who was gripping the bed rail so hard his knuckles were white. And our parents, whose eyes were red from weeping. What happened? I whispered, my voice sounding like gravel. Lin Shiyu stepped forward, wiping a straight air from her cheek. She was no longer the cold, focused surgeon I had seen in my delirium. She was my wife again. You have a rare vascular malformation in the brain, Yifan. It's likely been there since birth. That's what caused the fainting and the bleeding. The surgery I just performed, it stabilized the immediate danger. I looked at her, my heart trembling. So, the 30-year limit. Was it just this? I don't know about any 30-year limit, Shiyu said, sitting on the edge of the bed and leaning her forehead against mine. But I do know that we caught it. It's not an incurable fate, Yifan. It's a medical condition. And while the recovery will be long, and we might need more procedures, you aren't leaving us today, or tomorrow. Ma Xiao Yu let out a shaky laugh, wiping his eyes with his sleeve. You idiot. You almost ruined my wedding twice, once by snatching the bride and once by dying. If you ever do that again, I'm taking back my share of the company. Qin Minkai stepped up, nodding solemnly. We still have to go back to the mountain, remember? We have to tell the stars that we aren't done yet. I closed my eyes for a moment, feeling the weight of the curse finally lifting from my shoulders. All those years, I had lived with a countdown clock in my head, afraid to truly plan for a future I didn't think I had. I had built a company as a tombstone and treated every kiss like a goodbye. But looking at my son's innocent face, I realized that my wish upon a shooting star hadn't been a plea for a miracle. It was a demand for a second chance, and for the first time into lifetimes, I didn't see a dead end. I saw a long, winding road ahead. I'm not going anywhere, I promised, my grip tightening on my son's hand in my wife's arm. I have too many people to protect, and too much money to make with you losers. The room filled with laughter, the kind of genuine, messy, beautiful noise that only comes after a brush with death. My story wasn't an ending, it was finally truly at the beginning. Would you like to see how Yifan uses his bonus years to turn his company into an empire? Or shall we skip to a future where the five friends meet again as old men on that same mountain?